So not so long ago, I ran into somebody who was wearing a Jack Kerouac t-shirt, and if you know me, I like me some of the beats, all right? Now, I saw this, it's not a very common thing, a lot of people don't know who Kerouac is, so I decided to strike up a conversation, which is a little odd for me, but hey. So, we talked about Jack Kerouac, we got into the beats, and before I knew it, I was designing a business card for his new business, right? Great story. I mean, I should write that down and tell it at parties. I do. But what's the point of this story, all right? Very simple, really. We all want to find new methods that speed up the sales process, right? We want to make sure that we are discovering new processes, new methods that connect us to more of our core consumers. Those casual consumers that we can get to faster and easier and in ways that feel real and genuine. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself as usual. Before we go too far, I am E.H. Howard. This is the Toolbox Challenge, and I thank you for joining us today. So the question is, what is the Toolbox Challenge, right? And that's a great question. Let me tell you. As a well-rounded owner, you never, ever know what's coming at you. You need to be ready for anything and everything. And that means as the VP of your sales department, you need to connect with people who can become consumers quickly and easily, but that also feel genuine and real. And that's the goal here. That's our only goal, to have new experiences that are the equivalent of buying a new tool for our toolbox. We can store it in our metaphorical toolbox. We can access it when we need it. Those experiences will help us connect to people. Now, you may not use that information today. You may not even need it tomorrow, but it's there when you need it. And that's what the Toolbox Challenge is all about. Getting out of your head, getting out of your space, exposing yourself to some new experiences. And I'm kind of rambling here, which is typical. So let's just get into the challenge. And I think you guys understand, it's a pretty simple concept. Now, I love to read. I mean, I was a ravenous reader when I was a kid. Summer would go by and I would just read tons of books. And when I lived in Philly, ravenous. I was always on mass transit. So it was a new book every week. I would read newspapers. You remember those? Remember newspapers? I would read them from front to back all day. I would read the ingredients on a box of cereal. You name it, I would have read it. And it was awesome. It allowed me to have a passing knowledge about a lot of stuff. I was a master of nothing, right? I knew a lot about I knew very little about a lot is what I'm trying to say. But you kind of get where I'm going with this. But more importantly, the goal was that whatever came up, whatever situation is, if I had a passing knowledge, so I knew where to look to go further. I knew where to get more information. I knew how to start a conversation. Now, like many of us, I kind of convinced myself that I don't have any free time, mainly because of, reasons, right? We live in a golden age of television, and you have to watch literally everything if you want to spend 2 minutes on social media. And if it's any good, they're going to turn it into a streaming series or a movie franchise or something. And, the list goes on. I am reading, though, while I'm watching this stuff because I'm scrolling through Wikipedia looking for details and stuff. So let's go reasons I can't. All right? Now, I can admit that I could carve out some free time to really read. I just don't. I spend a lot of time surfing the web in the afternoon, so I could probably use that time a little bit better. And so this challenge, we're going to fix that, all right? We're going to read. Now, slow your roll. I know where you're all going with the comments here. You are going to read a short story for pleasure. No matter how busy you are, no matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, even me, especially me, we have time to read a short story, all right? By their very nature, it's right there in the name, short story. They are designed to be read in a very small amount of time. Less time than a novel would ever take, like half an hour, maybe, hour at most. And I mean, it couldn't be clearer, right? It's a short story. We're not talking like Lord of the Rings here. Now, there are some rails that we need to stay in with, okay? I want to kind of keep things kind of focused. You can choose whatever you want to read. You can read your classic short stories. You can read a fairy tale, a graphic novel, you name it, a chapter of a book that you've been wanting to read for a while, but you just haven't gotten around to it. Doesn't matter what you read. It should be between 15 minutes to a half an hour to read it, all right? Because if not, then it's really, you're not getting the most out of it. Doesn't matter what genre you read, doesn't matter as long as you are reading. However, no industry material, no news, no nonfiction. All right. We're going to add other parameters and rails in later, but for this challenge, I want to just keep it kind of simple. So take your time out, read for fun. That's the goal. And when you're done, come back and we'll do the reflection portion, all right? All right, welcome back. I am still E.H. Howard, all right? And this is the reflection portion of the reading challenge, all right, for the Toolbox challenge. Now, for this section, I can speak. For this section, you're going to need something to keep your ideas and notes in, like a notebook, the notes app, whatever you want to use. The idea is to sort of take our experiences, process them, and I find like when I write things out, like they stick better. They're kind of in my head, and I use a moleskin binder like this. You know, it's filled with all my crazy notes. You know, yada yada yada. But whatever you're comfortable with, you do you. I'm not trying to, that's not the important part of this. The reading was the important part. There is also a worksheet included in the description below, and it's got the prompts and it's got some space to work out ideas. So if you don't have a notebook or you can't go get one, feel free to download it and print them out as much as possible. They are there for you. You use whatever method you need. It's not about the recording. It's about the reading and remembering, all right? It's always about the membering. Now, your notebook, your whatever you're going to do, this is going to be your metaphorical toolbox, and this is where we're going to keep everything so that in the future, if we need it, we can at least refer back to it. All right. Now, I'd like you to kind of keep your notes as close to after reading as possible, because that way everything's fresh in your head. You know what's going on. Things haven't happened and you haven't forgotten things. So keep as close to reading as you're possible. You're writing notes. You're not writing an essay or a thesis, but write them in whatever way that you want. One-word answers, a sketch. I tend to sketch and draw lots of lines and arrows and things. A stream of consciousness paragraph, the lyric to a song, whatever it is, because remember, it's about the membrane. It's not about anything else. So again, however you need to do it, you do you. Now, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. What was the genre of the story? Was it horror, comedy, sci-fi? Why did you choose that genre? Did you have a personal connection with it? If so, why? How? It reminds me of summers at the beach with my grandmother. I really like those types of books. I have a personal connection with the material, because you do. Be honest, be open. Tell us why you chose that genre. We'll tell you why you chose that genre. Did you like the story? If so, why? If not, why not? And don't give broad strokes, all right? Just to say, I don't like it. Write down why. Was it because the story the ending didn't deliver on the beginning? It didn't have enough action and beats in the middle? There weren't any key sequences that kind of kept me involved? Now, these days, everybody's a critic, and that includes us. And so for part of this challenge, I want you to write a review for what you read. And I want you to do it in your style. So it can be super professional, it can be snarky and cranky, you can be brutally honest, whatever it is. You don't have to like what you've read, so don't feel like you've got to give it a glowing recommendation. You can still look at things honestly, even negatively, and get stuff out of it, all right? Do no more than 3 paragraphs for your review. Now, thinking about those people close to you, your best buddy, your pals, your gal pal, would you recommend this to them? What would you say to them? If they're your inner circle, they know you. So are you going to shorthand it? Are you going to cut things out? How are you going to explain it? Because you've got classic insider jokes between each other. Is that how you're going to get to them and get them to understand what you're talking about? Would you recommend it to a client or a consumer? Because that's going to be a completely different tone and take with them. You're probably going to be more professional, a bit more serious, a lot less slang and a lot less insider jokes. Maybe. Who knows? Only you know, right? All right. Would you recommend the story / the author to someone else? If so, why? If not, why not? Write it all down in your notebook. Again, notes are fine. You don't need to write out a thesis paper. You don't need to write out any kind of sort of like long prose. All right. Now, hopefully you can start to see how some of these challenges are really kind of helping you to invigorate and get going with your sales and marketing. Because now you can feel like you can go into a networking event any place and have a conversation with anyone in the room. Now, they may not be perfect for your business, they might not be right for what you're offering, but they know people who might be. So that's, again, the point where we just want to talk to people, broaden our circle. More you know, the more you can talk to a diverse demographic. I can talk to Gen Xers, I can talk to boomers, because I read and I know about things. And the goal in all of this is what? Say it with me. To grow our business. That's why these are so important. They are tools that you can use to grow your business. Now, if you're really up to it, I would say, hey, why don't you write your review down below? Would love to look at it. I'll give you some feedback, some input. I'd love to see what people are reading. I'd love to hear what you're reading. I'm going to do some reading later tonight, and I'll write it down below. And visit my website, and don't forget, when you're there, to join my tribe. So visit join.ehhoward.com. There's lots of great things you can get from joining it. You'll get early notice that these are coming up. You'll get part of the newsletter, all of that. And I really want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to join me today. I truly, truly appreciate it. It's very amazing. Thank you so much. I hope you get a lot out of these challenges, and I hope to see you in the next one. Get out there, read something. You'll be glad you did.